Good morning to all of you. Hope I am audible to you. Uh, in the previous classes, we have discussed about various algorithm techniques like 3D method, divide and conquer, dynamic programming, etc. etc. And we have seen how to apply these techniques for providing solution to various problems. And today, I want to discuss about backtracking technique and what are the applications of this, how to provide the backtracking solution, what is the advantage of this backtracking technique, what is the control abstraction, and we'll just focus on what type of problems we can solve this. So coming to this backtracking algorithm technique, usually it is a popular technique, it's mostly used technique, and this is used when we want to search for a set of solutions. So you want to search for a set of solutions, or you want to search for an optimal solution satisfying some constraints. Okay, so here you are using the backtracking formulation, and you want to search for a set of optimal solutions which are satisfying some constraints. So, and here, usually in most of the applications, for example, if it is a greedy method, we'll be providing the solution as a vector, a subset of solutions. Okay, and it works in stages. Okay, it works in stages, and usually they will be used dynamic programming and all. They can be used for optimization problems. Okay, either you want to maximize or you want to minimize, you can use this dynamic programming technique and the greedy method. Okay, it works in stages. At each and every stage, you need to take a decision of each xi value. So likewise, here in the backtracking method, in most of the applications, the solution will be expressed as an n tuple, x1, x2 up to xn. Okay, usually I'll just show. So the solution will be expressed as an n tuple. So x1, x2, x3 up to xn. So the solution will be expressed like this. And each xi value will be chosen from finite set Si. Say Si is the finite set of elements. So each and every xi will be chosen only from that finite set Si. Okay, and the problems which we are solving, we want to find a vector, we want to find a solution vector which maximizes or minimizes the criteria function p, p of x1, x2 up to xn. So the solution will be expressed as x1, x2 up to xn, and each xi value will be chosen from the finite set Si. Okay, and this solution vector, okay, if you want to find a solution vector, that is, this is a p of x1, x2, xn, it should either maximize, this is a one which gives you the optimal solution, which either maximizes or minimizes, and it has to satisfy the given constraints. You need to provide the solution vector p of x1. This is the objective function, p of x1, x2, x, and this is a solution vector. Okay, so here, for example, if you want to sort an array of elements, sort an array of elements, A of 1 to n, you have an array of elements. You want to sort these elements. So this can be provided. That is here, for this problem, you can apply the backtracking technique and you can provide the solution, backtracking solution. Okay, so A of 1 to n, you have n number of elements, and the objective is you want to sort the elements. So the solution vector should be expressed in as an n tuple, and each xi value will give you the index, the position where it has to be. Okay, so what is the solution vector now? Because you have n number of elements in the array A, the solution vector will be x1 up to xn. Each xi value will give you the position What is the fifth smallest element? What is the second smallest element? Okay, what is the third smallest element? You need to provide this, right? This is the solution. Okay, so that will give you the index. And what is the constraint? What is the p? P, what is the objective function here? A of xi should be less than or equal to a of xi plus 1. So because you want to sort the elements, so that is a criteria function. The function p has this inequality: a of xi should be less than or equal to a of xi plus 1. This is the inequality it should satisfy. So for each and every I, it should satisfy this. Then the whole array will get sorted. Okay, so usually we doesn't apply this technique for the sorting, but this can be an example. Okay, just for example, I am explaining how it can be solved. What will be the solution vector? What is the objective function? So P is the objective function, x1, x2 is the solution vector. Okay, so for example, here for example here, if mi is for example, if mi is the size of set Si, so how many combinations will be having? M is equal to m1, m2, m3 up to mn. So you have n number of tuples. You have n number of tuples, which are possible candidates satisfy. Okay, you'll be having n number of tuples. Okay, so these are all the tuples which satisfy the given function p, which are satisfying the given function p. So here in the brute force approach, what we'll do is we need to solve all these n tuples and we need to evaluate which one is better. So it takes more time. So this is according to the brute force approach. So we need to find the solutions for all these n tuples. We need to evaluate all these, and finally we need to select the optimal solution. But coming to the backtracking technique, okay, so with fewer number of trials, okay, with fewer than m number of trials, see here we are having uh, m is equal to m1, m2, n tuples. So instead of having that many number of trials, we can get the same solution. We can end up with the same solution. Okay, we can build the solution vector one component at a time. Okay, so that is we can find the same instead of following the brute force approach, which takes more time. We can apply the backtracking technique and we can find the same answer with fewer number of trials. Okay, that is the main advantage of backtracking method. So what we'll do is here, the idea behind this is we can build the solution vector uh, with one component at a time. So as it works in stages, one component at a time, and after finding that component, we'll modify the criteria function. So the p will get modified, p of x1, x2 up to xi. For example, if you find the xi value, okay, if then the criteria function will get modified, and we'll check whether there is any possibility, whether there is any chance to get the solution if you follow this path. Okay, so for example, if you feel that if you doesn't get a solution, definitely if you follow in this path, then you can stop. Okay, you can stop, you can avoid making the other trials, building the other components. You can stop here and you can go one step back and you can try with other solution vector. Okay, so the advantage of this method is if it is realized that the partial vector, for example, you have found the vector up to x1, x2 up to xi, you need to find up to xm. Okay, so up to xi, once you find, if you feel that there is no way to lead an optimal solution if you follow this path, definitely you can avoid mi plus 1 up to mn number of trials. These trials can be avoided. These trials can be avoided. Okay, because if you follow this path, definitely we have realized that we never get a optimal solution. We never get a solution in this path. So why to implement those trials? So you can reduce them. Okay, so this is the main advantage of this. And most of the problems that we solve using this backtracking, it requires that all the solutions should satisfy a complex set of constraints. So it has a set of constraints. So here, what are those constraints? Implicit constraints. There are two categories: implicit constraints, explicit constraints. So what are explicit constraints? As I told you earlier, you will be building up a solution x1, x2 up to xn, and each xi should be chosen from some finite set Si. I have already told. So this finite set Si, okay. So explicit constraints, they are the rules that restrict each xi to take values only from a given set. That is called the explicit constraints. Okay, explicit constraints are the rules that specify that restrict that each xi should be taken only from the finite set, only from the given set Si. Okay. So Si, the finite set can consist of all the values which are greater than 0. That is all non-negative real numbers out there. It will be. Okay. Otherwise, Xi, for example, if if it is if Si is equal to Si is equal to 0, 1, for example, if this is a set, so each xi value can be either 0 or 1. It cannot take any other value because in the set Si you have defined only these two values. So each xi value that you find the solution for the backtracking problem, it can be either 0 or it can be 1. It cannot take any other value. So that is called the explicit constraints. Okay, that is a explicit constraints. I'll tell you what is the implicit constraints. So here, as I told you, here in backtracking method, the desired solution is expressed as an n-tuple vector x1, x2, xi up to xn, where xi is chosen from finite set Si. So the problem is to find a vector which maximizes or minimizes. So what is the criteria function? How it is defined? P of x1 to xn. Okay. So here the main advantage of this, instead of having going with m number of trials, we can get a solution with fewer number of trials. So if you feel that you doesn't get a solution if you go in this path, you will stop. For example, you want to reach some place. You have chosen a path. So after going some time, after traveling some time, if you feel that you will not reach the destination if you follow this path, then what will you do? Will you continue in that path blindly? You will not continue. Unnecessarily, you will waste the time. Because once you realize that you will not reach your destination, you will stop. You will stop at that place. You take one step back and you proceed in another path. Okay. So the same way you can assure in the backtracking technique. Okay. So here, we have, as I told you, there are two types of constraints: explicit constraints, implicit constraints. So explicit constraint. So examples: xi is greater than 0. Xi is greater than 0. So it is Si will be equal to all non-negative real numbers. So our Si can be 0 or 1, whatever it is. You can have anything. Now, all the tuples which satisfy the explicit constraint, they define the possible solution space for I. So for if I is a problem, So all these tuples, they satisfy the explicit constraints. All tuples which satisfy the explicit constraints, they define the possible solution space. So here, for example, if Si is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, assume that Si is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many combinations you can have? For example, Si is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the finite set. Now I want to define the solution vector. So 1, 1, 2, 3. So this is a solution vector. For example, okay, I have not specified any problem. Just I am telling. So the combination of this, it makes a solution space 1, 1, 2, 3. Because what is a constraint? What is the explicit constraint? Each and every xi value, each and every xi should be chosen from finite set Si. So for example, 1, 5, 2, 3. This is not this is not satisfying explicit constraint. This is not satisfying explicit constraint. Why? Because this 5 is not included in the finite set. So how come it can be how can it satisfy the explicit constraint? So this doesn't include in the solution space, but this will be included in the solution space. So all the tuples, so this is a tuple 1, 4, 2, 3. This is a tuple. All these tuples will form the solution space. Okay, will form the solution space. That is a solution space for the given problem I. So for a particular instance, if I is a problem, that is a solution space for I. Now coming to the implicit constraints. Coming to the implicit constraints, they are the rules that determine which of the tuples in the solution space of I satisfy the criteria function. Okay, so here we have defined the solution space. We have defined the solution space. Okay, so once you define the solution space, you will get the all the tuples which satisfy the explicit constraint make the solution space. Now, once you define the solution space, in that solution space, only few tuples will satisfy the implicit constraints. So what is the implicit constraints? They are the rules that determine which of the tuples in the solution space, which of the tuples, all the tuples will not satisfy the implicit constraint. Only few of the tuples will satisfy the implicit constraints. Okay, which satisfies the criteria function. Okay, so they should satisfy. For example, in the sorting, A of xi should be less than or equal to A of xi plus 1. So here it should get satisfied. So whatever the thing, in the solution space, you have all the combinations, but only few tuples will satisfy the implicit constraints. Okay, so the implicit constraints, they define the way in which xi's must relate, each xi is related to the other. Okay, each xi, how it is relating to each xi, how it relates to the other xi's, it is defined through implicit constraints. Okay, so we already told you. Okay, A of xi should be less than or equal to A of xi plus 1. This is a relation between the elements of the tuple that you specify. Okay, and you have several problems with which we can solve this. So for example, you can consider 8 queens problem or n queens problem. Okay, so sum of subsets problem, graph coloring problem. So you can consider any problem. So there are several problems. For example, you have 8 queens. You have 8 queens problem. So what the problem is? So here, for example, this is a combinatorial problem. Here we want to place 8 queens on an 8 by 8 chessboard in such a way that no 2 queens attack each other. Okay, so you have 8 queens and you have a 8 by 8 chessboard. So for example, this is a chessboard. 8 by 8, you have 8 rows. And you have 8 columns. Okay, you extend this, you have 8 columns, 8 rows, 8 columns. Okay. And you want to place these 8 queens on this 8 by 8 chessboard in such, what are the constraints? What is the objective function? No 2 queens should attack each other. So no 2 queens attacking in the sense, no 2 queens should be on the same row, same column, same diagonal. So no 2 queens should be on the same row, same column, same diagonal. So for example, if you place a Q in this row, you cannot place any other Q in this. This is prohibited. So once you place Q1, queen 1 here, you cannot place another queen here. This is not. And you cannot have 2 queens like this. Diagonally you cannot have, on the same row you cannot have, on the same column you cannot place the queens. So this is a combinatorial problem. So how to place the queens? In such a way that no 2 queens attack each other. So for example, if you place 1 queen here and the other queen here, this is not accepted because these 2 are diagonal. This is not accepted. Okay. So here, we can assume that the queen 1 will be placed in the row 1, queen 2 will be placed in the row 2, queen 3, queen 4, queen 5, queen 6, queen 7, queen 8. Now, here we want to identify this queen 1 in which column it should be placed. So the problem statement can be defined like this. So we can assume that queen 1 will be placed in the row 1, queen 2 will be placed in the row 2, likewise queen 3 in the row 3. So we need to find out in which column the first queen will be placed. Definitely the queen 1 will be placed in the row 1, no doubt in this. But in which column you should place? In which column you should place? That you need to identify. Right. So you need to identify this. Now all the solutions. Okay. So all the solution to this 8 queens problem, it can be represented as 8 tuples. So how the solution can be represented? Solution x1, x2, x3 up to x8. So x1 will give you the column of first queen. x2 will give you the column of second queen. x8 will give you the column of eighth queen. So this is the solution vector. You need to identify the x1, x2 up to x8 values. Okay. And each xi will give you the column where queen I, for example, xi is, if you take xi, it tells you where the queen I will be placed. That is the column where queen I will be placed in ith row. Ith row is fixed, but you need to find out the column. So that is a solution vector. Now here, what is for this particular problem? If you want to understand the backtracking concept, you should know what are the explicit constraints, what are the implicit constraints for this particular problem. So what are the explicit constraints using this formulation? Si is equal to, because you are having only 8 columns, you can place any queen in any one of these 8 columns. Okay, how can you place in the 9th column? You cannot place. So what are the explicit constraints? What is the solution set? What is the SI value? SI can be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is SI. Okay. Now each I can take the value between 1 to 8. So this is, so the explicit constraint. What is the explicit constraint now? They are the rules that restrict each xi to take values only from a given set Si. So in the Si, what are the values we have given? 1 to 8. Now, solution space. What is the solution space makes? All the tuples which satisfy the explicit constraints from the solution space. They are the possible solution space. Okay, so now the solution space consists of 8 power 8 tuples, isn't it? Because you have 8, you have how many combinations you have? All ones, all twos, all threes. You can have all fours. Maybe it is feasible or not, leave it. But explicit constraint only, it should satisfy the explicit constraint. If each xi is taking the value only from 1 to 8, that makes a tuple in the solution space. Okay, so totally how many tuples you will be having? 8 power 8, 8 tuples. Each tuple is of size 8. So 8 power 8, 8 tuples. Okay, this is the things. The tuple size is 8 tuples. Okay, the tuple size is 8 tuple. So how many you will be having? 8 power 8 tuples. Okay, now what are the implicit constraints? What are the implicit constraints for this particular problem, 8 queens problem? We are telling that no two queens should attack. You are supposed to place the queens in such a way that no two queens attack each other. Okay, so no two queens in the sense they should be on the same row, same column, same diagonal. Now for this, here no two xi's can have the same value now, because each and every, what is the constraint? No two queens should be on the same column. So for example, if you take the solution as 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Suppose if these are the values of 8 xi values, 1, 1, it means that the first queen will be placed on the first column, second queen will be placed on the first column, third queen on second column, fourth queen on second column. So first queen, here you have 1, 2, third queen in the second column. So can you have this? You cannot place any queens. No two queens can be placed on the same column. So for that, what is a restriction you need to place on this set now? Each and every xi value should be unique. No two xi's can have the same value, because all the queens must be on different columns. So for that purpose, what we can tell, each xi should be unique. No two xi's can have the same value. So here, no two queens can be diagonal. No two queens can be on the same row and the same column. So these are the things. So here, this constraint, it implies that all the solutions, they are permutations of 8 tuples now, because what we told, no two xi's can have the same value. So for this purpose, what can you do? Here the problem, and here see, 8 power 8, 8 tuple solution space. This is a solution space because it's a combinatorial problem. This has been reduced to 8 factorial tuples. 8 power 8, 8 tuple solution space is very large than 8 factorial tuples. Okay, so now the solution space has been reduced from 8 power 8 tuples to 8 factorial tuples. Okay, so the size has been reduced. Now we'll see how we can provide the solution. So now you try to understand what type of problems can be solved with the backtracking technique. So this is one particular application where we can solve. So for example, the solution for this will be, you can place the queens like this. So I'll show you for the first 2 queens. Like that, none of the queens can be on the same column or same diagonal. See here, the first queen is placed on the, you can place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The first queen will be placed here. The second queen can be placed in the 6th column, because see, these two are not diagonal. These two are not on the same row, same column. and the next queen can be placed in the 8th column, and the 4th queen can be placed in the second one. So like this, see, they are not diagonal. In between you have one more. So these two are not diagonal. Okay. So likewise, you need to place this. You need to provide the solution. So how to provide the solutions? How to provide this solution vector? So if you follow in one way, if you doesn't get a solution, you take another step. Go back, you proceed in another way. So till end, we don't proceed till end. Okay, we want to reduce the number of trials. Okay, instead of providing the solution with brute force, okay, instead of following the brute force approach, you can apply the backtracking technique and you can come up with the same answer with fewer number of trials. Okay, that's the advantage of backtracking technique. And the other problem that you can provide the solution is sum of subsets problem. So these are all the applications of this backtracking technique. So here, sum of subsets problem. Okay, so previously we have seen how to provide the solution for this to the n queens problem or 8 queens problem, whatever it is. Now let us see how what is a sum of subsets problem, and whether we can apply the backtracking solution for this, backtracking technique for this. Okay, so the problem statement is you are provided with positive numbers. Okay, so n positive indices, n positive numbers. Okay, 1 less than or equal, I taking the value between 1 to n. So you are provided W1, W2, W3 up to Wn, and you are provided with m. With m, you are provided with W's, the weights, sum of subsets. Okay, for this problem, you are provided with W's, each I taking the value between 1 to n, and you will be provided with one positive quantity m. Okay, so the problem is we need to find out all the subsets. We need to find out all the subsets of Wi's whose sums are equal to m. So we need to find the subset of Wi's whose sum is equal to m. This is a problem statement. So for example, let us take an example. N is equal to 4. You have 4 positive numbers. So W1, W2, W3, W4 is equal to, let us take the numbers, 11, 13, 24 and 7. These are the 4 positive numbers, and m is equal to 31. Now we need to find a subset, maybe 11 plus 13. Suppose if this is equal to 31, that can be the solution. 13 plus 24, or 11 plus 13 plus 7, or 13 plus 24 plus 7. Whichever sum is equal to m, you need to come up with all the solutions. You need to find out all the subsets whose sum is equal to m. Whose sum is equal to m. You need to find out all those subsets. Okay. Now, what are the desired subsets of this? If you add 11, 13, 7. What is this value? 13 and 7, 20. 20 plus 11, 31. So the sum of these three numbers is 31. So this is one solution vector. And next, the other combination is 24 and 7. This is equal to 31. This is another possible solution. Okay. So now, rather than representing the solution vector with Wi's, you can also represent them with xi values. Okay. So just by giving the indices values, you can, there is, if it is 1, 2, 4, or 2, 3, or 1, 3, 4. you can specify the solution either specifying the weights in numbers or either by the indices values. Okay, and here the two solutions which are described, they can be represented with, how they can be represented now, 1 comma 2 comma 4 and other one is 3 comma 4. So these are the two solution vectors. Okay, so now here all these solution vectors, they are of k tuples. These solutions are of k tuples. It may not be n tuple. It will be k tuple x1, x2 up to xk. So this k can take the value between 1 to n. It cannot be less than 1. It should be either 1 or greater than 1. For example, if 31 is part of this, then only 31 will make you the sum n. So then only we can have 5. So that's why what I'm telling is this k value can be either less that is greater than or equal to 1 or less than or equal to n. Sometimes by adding all the integers in the given subset, if you add all of this, then you can get the value of m. Okay, so different solutions will have different sized tuples. One solution vector may have three numbers, and in another solution may have 2 numbers, or otherwise you can have a single number also. So different solutions will have different sized tuples. Now, what are the explicit constraints and what are the implicit constraints? Because for any problem, you need to statement, what is the objective function, what is the constraint, what are the explicit constraints, what are the implicit constraints. So what is an explicit constraint? What is that you require here? So here, coming to the explicit constraint, each xi belongs to j, where j is an integer and j should be okay. This is the explicit constraint. Each xi can be a j. What is the j can be? J is an integer which is between 1 to n. Okay, so here if you have n number of numbers, you cannot have, for example, 4 numbers have been given in the previous example. Xi value cannot be 5. Xi value can be any one between 1 to 4, not any other value. That is called the explicit constraint. Now, what is the implicit constraint? What is the implicit constraint? Here, implicit constraints are no two should be the same, and the sum of wi's should be equal to m. Okay, that is an implicit constraint. Implicit constraint is the sum of all these wi's should be equal to m. Sum of wi's should be equal to m. This is called the implicit constraint. Explicit constraint means each xi can take any value between 1 to n if n is a number of integers. And implicit constraint is sum of all these wi should be equal to m. Okay, and here no two, that is for the same subset you cannot have multiple instances. So for example, in the sense 1 comma 2 comma 4, this is one subset. It means that w1 plus w2 plus w4 is equal to m. This is the meaning of this. Now, once you have this, you cannot have, once you have this, you cannot have 1 comma 4 comma 2 or 2 comma 4 comma 1. You cannot have, because all this makes the same thing. 1 2 4 or 1 4 2 or 2 4, both are same. You cannot have multiple instances of the same solution, same subset. So rather than, what you can do is, to avoid this, what we can impose is one more constraint is xi value should be less than, not equal to, because no two can be same. Xi should be less than xi plus 1. So this I can take the value between 1 to k. This is less than k. Okay, because xi plus 1, no, that's why k. So this is a constraint we can give. You can impose one more constraint. Sum of all wi should be equal to m, and one more constraint is xi value can be less than xi plus 1. This is the thing. So here, this is one way of specifying the solution. And another formulation is for the same sum of subsets problem, each solution subset can be represented by an n tuple. So each solution is represented, because here in the previous formulation, the different solutions can be of different sized tuples. But in the second formulation, what we want is each and every subset should be represented as an n tuple, x1, x2 up to xn. You cannot have any other. Okay, this is a solution. So each xi can be equal to either 0 or 1. It can be anything. For example, here, for all I, each xi can be 0 or 1. For example, if this corresponding weight is included in the, if w1 is included in your subset, x1 will be equal to 1. If this is not included, then x1 will be equal to 0. So this is how we follow. If xi is equal to 0, it means that wi is not chosen. If xi is equal to 1, it means that that corresponding wi is chosen. So in the previous one, for example, if you have 1, 2, 4, there is a solution, no? So how we'll provide is 1, 1, 0, 1. It means that w1 is included, w2 is included, w4 is included. So x1 is equal to 1, x2 is equal to 1, x4 is equal to 1. So you can represent. So with this, what we can understand is, for a particular problem, there can be more than one formulation. There are several ways to formulate a problem. You can follow anyone. You can formulate in any way. So for a particular problem, there are different ways to specify. So this is also one more application for the backtracking problem. So likewise, you can go for the graph coloring problem, knapsack problem. You can provide the solutions for this. Okay. So there are several solutions, there are several applications with which we can solve this. N-queens problem, sum of subsets problem, all this. Okay. So hope you have understood what is a backtracking technique. Okay. What are the problems with which we can solve, how to provide the solution, what are the constraints, how the solution can be provided and all. So in the next class, we'll focus on the control abstraction for this, and let us draw the state space tree for a given particular problem, and about the terminology that we use here. What is a live node, what is a dead node, and all, let us discuss in the next class. Thank you all.